Despite repeat occurrences of some of the most obscene domestic butchery this side of Damascus, despite the premeditated mass murders of little children and other innocents, despite all the facts militating against it, there is a pervasive and persistent argument in this country that guns in the hands of all of us are a necessity, if not a God-given right. And this doesn't mean a .38 caliber pistol for home defense. This means high-tech, rapid-fire assault weapons which are designed to rip the human body to shreds in a moment, to kill and fatally maim as many people as possible within an eye blink. Because these murderous weapons are what armies would use in all-out war, it should be very alarming that an otherwise mild-mannered housewife in Connecticut was able to acquire an arsenal of these things and keep them in her suburban home along with a mentally unstable son. But it's much more alarming that a lot of Americans think that's perfectly okay. Just how insane and dangerous are we as a people? First, let's look at the Bill of Rights and the Second Amendment itself. The precise wording adopted in 1791 says, quote, "A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed," unquote. Of course, that made perfect sense. It was 1791. You or your family could be killed by a wild bear, a pack of wolves, or marauding Indians. There were no police. In most rural areas, there was no law. You were a citizen of a new, very fragile nation threatened on all sides by huge European empires. Even though guns were single shot and took minutes to reload, the Founding Fathers, in their wisdom, still associated the right to bear arms with the maintenance of a well-regulated militia. Were people like Adam Lanza and his mother's members of a well-regulated militia? Not even close. Does the Second Amendment protect the need for mass murder assault rifles? Think. Should a traffic light be maintained at an intersection where the crossroad is permanently closed? No. Things have changed. Thomas Jefferson said, "I am not an advocate for frequent changes in laws and constitutions, but laws and institutions must go hand in hand with progress." Does the gun lobby know something about the Constitution that Jefferson didn't? Now, let's take a look at how often guns are successfully used to preserve life and home security versus to kill and maim children and other innocents. Here's some real U.S. data. 1. A gun in the home increases the chances of being killed by firearms 72%. 2. A gun in the home is 22 times more likely to figure in a murder, suicide, or accident than in home defense. 3. It increases the likelihood of suicide 5 times. 4. It triples the risk of homicide in that home. 5. An accident with gun in the home is responsible for the vast majority of children killed by guns. But perhaps that's changing. I would think, case closed. But none of this is good enough for the gun lovers. We all know that having a gun in reach is the prime factor for converting a domestic dispute into an instantly regretted deadly encounter. So how do other first world democracies deal with the human predisposition to sudden passion, violence, anger, clumsiness, or just plain stupidity? Australia has banned assault weapons. In 2009, its gun homicide rate per 100,000 was 0.1 versus 3.3 in the United States. Its accidental death rate involving firearms was 0.09 versus 0.27 in the U.S. In Sweden, where civilian gun control laws are called draconian, Stockholm's annual homicide rate is about 0.7 per 100,000 inhabitants. In Scotland, civilian handgun use was effectively banned, and crimes involving handguns dropped 44% in the last decade. The list of enlightened laws goes on and on. Japan has banned all guns and all swords. Now, murder by gun or any means in Japan is about as rare as hen's teeth. Only 11 people were killed in Japan with guns in 2008 versus, you want to guess? 12,179 homicides by firearm that year in the U.S. Almost exactly 2 years ago, one of the world's worst catastrophes hit Japan. Dozens of coastal cities were destroyed. Thousands died. Valuables were scattered. Civil authority dissolved. You want to know how much looting, violent crime, and murder accompanied this golden opportunity? Virtually none. Can you imagine the gun-related consequences of a similar disaster in the U.S.? It's true that America does not lead the world in gun-related deaths. We have 10 nations ahead of us, places like El Salvador, Jamaica, Honduras. We've all heard the argument, when guns are outlawed, only outlaws will have guns. Maybe. But there will be fewer of them, and even fewer will graduate to murder. Criminals get guns, banned or not. But as most murder-suicides show recently, once someone's hit that level, fear of being met with firearms is not a deterrent. We hear that gun violence is a function of tough times, economic hardship, cultural inequality, simmering racial tensions, religious differences. All true. However, if you have a gun, you kill. If you have a club or a knife, you may kill, but frequently you only wound. And it's one person at a time. And you see the pain and the agony up close. It's intensely real, much messier than cool mass murder with an assault weapon at a distance. There's some chance for some revulsion to emerge. But here in the US, where most of our favorite realities are virtual, we're not getting the picture. So are we congenitally insane as a culture? Why are we so easily led around by the nose by gun lobby propaganda? There's nothing more convincing than reality, and the more frequently we encounter that reality, the more convincing it is. I'd like to suggest December 14th as an annual National Day of the Innocents, a day of remembrance for all the little ones slain by murder weapons in this country. We have more than enough holidays commemorating wars. We need one commemorating the small victims of mindless violence. If you support this idea, please visit our Facebook website and leave us a message. This has been a Stream of Conscience commentary. I'm Tom Hedberg. Thanks for watching.